So before I came up with the idea for this video, I actually had gotten, sick. I'm not sure why. I had a terrible fever, and during the summer, having a fever, it's not fun. But along with that, I also had this headache, and with that headache, I kept seeing like generic images like in my head and stuff, like generic images of these men with guns and close-up of faces, and it was super weird, and we couldn't figure out what it was for the longest time. And then finally we went to the doctors, and I was diagnosed with staring at crappy video game box arts for too long. Yeah, which, looking back at it, it does make sense now. I mean, I had been playing a lot of Call of Duty. Usually when I'm out and about looking for a video game to buy, the thing that usually catches my eye is the box art, especially if it's a new game. But something I've noticed looking through games new and old, is that new box arts just suck. When it comes to video games, the box art is one of the most important things about it. Besides from the gameplay, the music, the graphics, blah, blah, all that unimportant stuff. The box art is usually the first thing I think of when it comes to talking about a particular game. Because the video game box art is supposed to send off a message, to tell you what the game is about, who's the main character, what time period it might be in, whether it's going to be a fantasy or a more realism game, if it's during an apocalypse or if it's in a sky, I don't know. Whatever it is you're most likely going to be doing in the game. Like, I look at Mario Tennis's box art and I'm going to think, oh, I'm going to be playing tennis with Mario. L.A. Noire, oh, I'm going to be a detective guy in the late 1940s. Secret of Mana, oh, cool, I'm going to do some shit with a tree. But video game box arts over the last 15 or so years, in my opinion, have gotten kind of lazy, with them now just sort of being man with gun, character looking at the ground, close-up a character's face, Resident Evil 6. When looking back at the 80s and early 90s NES, SNES, and Genesis era of video game box arts, you can see some actual detail and artwork put into them. Like, they didn't make these detailed boxes because they needed to, it was because they most likely wanted to. In the late 70s, Atari had some great box art, but they usually didn't match this to this. You more likely had to use your imagination while playing the game to have it represent what they were trying to sell you. But when Nintendo rolled onto the scene with the NES in the early 80s, they did try to make the box arts represent what the game actually was. This was also something that Hey y'all, Scott here pointed out in his video, and I thought I'd mention it too because it's a good point. Anyways, these were known as the black box games. Also great if you were Metroid. Super Mario Bros., Duck Hunt, Kung Fu, and Excitebike. These were a few out of many that used the black box design. They aren't very detailed, I mean, they're sprites taken from the game and slapped on a black box. Over time, they did get rid of the black box design and just started using normal artwork, and just, wow, just, look at these. Contra, Double Dragon 2, Castlevania, Dragon Warrior, Super Mario Bros. 3, and so much more. The NES blew things out of the water with the box art designs, bringing us so many classics. Then you had Mega Man 1. Not all box arts in this era were hits. As an example, Mega Man 1. This looks... I can't even describe what's... I can't even describe it, because there's just so much chaos going on in it. Like, this picture. I'm not even sure if it's a picture. I'm like, can this be classified as a picture? As a drawing of a piece of art? I mean, I won't talk about this too long because I'll most likely talk about it when I get to reviewing Mega Man 1 out of the... Box arts did get better during the SNES and Genesis era, giving us some more great classics, whether it be simplistic style like Super Mario World or Animaniacs, or something super detailed like Castlevania 4 or Altered Beast. The 16-bit era brought us better graphics and games that were much more detailed. This meant that the box art would be able to represent more about the game. And this is, again, something similar that Hey All Scott here said in his video too. I just have so many favorite box arts that come out of this era, like Chrono Trigger, Super Metroid, Donkey Kong Country, Aladdin, Final Fantasy III US, Altered Beast, Yoshi's Island, and just so much more. Also, with the introduction of the Game Boy hitting the scene in late 1989, we got many more games to come along with it and plenty of great box arts. First thing that obviously comes to mind is Pokemon, the Pokemon series, Red, Yellow, and Blue, and then the Mario Land series. You know, those are just a few that already pop off the top of my head. But, of course, there are some duds. Like the Alex Kidd box art may be super detailed and have a lot of things going on in the background, but you can't tell me this looks like this. That does not correlate. But seriously, this is just one of my favorite eras of video game box arts. You know, there are just so many classic and beautiful video game box art. Yeah, there's some kind of ones that have dated a bit. You know, Streets of Rage, you know, kind of stuff comes to mind. The first Street Fighter 2 box art comes to mind. But, you know, there's still a whole line of classics, you know. But then, in the mid to late 90s, everything was calm. That was until the 3D era. This era was the introduction of 3D characters on box arts. This stuff started to appear around the time of the Donkey Kong Country series of games, and I believe the box art for Donkey Kong Country, you know, still looks good. The series box art still look good. I mean, I mentioned it just a few seconds ago. Like they're full of detail, some nice artwork. I mean, it looks good. Then you jump over to Sega, and this is the start of the lazy box art era, where publishers would just slap a 3D character on the box, give it a logo, throw a background on it, bam boom, shlabadoo, you got a box art, baby. Games like Frogger, Mystic Ninja, Mega Man Legends 1 and 2, Earthworm Jim 3D, Castlevania 64. These box arts were not all bad, sometimes got more popular, though there were still some golden ones like Crash Bandicoot series of games, Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, Banjo-Kazooie, GoldenEye 007, Mario 64, I mean just more, you know, so much more. But I do understand why there was such a influx of 3D characters on the box art, you know, design. And that was because 3D video game stuff was, like, new to people. Like, people were just blown away by just seeing Mario run around in an open field. So, why not slap the 3D character on the box art and be like, hey, check it out. I'm a 3D video game. Buy me, you know? But, with the turn of the era from the 90s to the early 2000s, we started to get more redefined and detailed box arts as we moved through the 6th to the 8th generation of consoles. But where there was some creative box arts, we started to get a new influx of characters looking tough, badass, and holding some sort of weapon. Like, yeah, these are detailed and everything and look great, but, you know, this is better than this. Or the super close-up of a character's face looking directly at you, staring into your soul, taunting you to buy the game. Yeah, that last one might be a personal thing. But some of the close-up faces ones are kind of cool, like Alien Isolation. That fits. That really worked for the game. At least, I feel it does. It gives it off a sense of, like, disturbing, not knowing what's around the corner. Fear! Adding to all that is the reflection of the xenomorph in the character's helmet. So there are some good up-close and character-holding weapon covers. But my favorite piece of box art from this gen is The Last of Us. It's such a beautiful box art and just a nice piece of artwork in general. Artwork. There we go. It shows what the game is about. Joel and Ellie traveling through this wasteland that was once populated. But the thing I probably love most about this box art is it has nothing to do with any of the detail or artwork on it. It's just the fact that Naughty Dog argued to keep Ellie on the box instead of just doing whatever Sony or whoever it was wanted them to do, which was most likely just being focused on Joel and him being a manly man. Probably similar to Bioshock Infinite. Now, the box art for Infinite is very nice. Great artwork, coloring, and everything, but wow. Can I get some personality over here? Because this is... wow, okay. And Infinite was such a good game, too. And they gave it this cover. But what some publishers do is that they have a reversible cover inside the case, and that you can, take out and flip around, and it's a nice addition, but, two things. One, why couldn't we just have this box art instead, huh? And two, the alternate box art usually, most of the time, doesn't have the logo for what console it's on, the rating, stuff that box arts are supposed to have. And just like Was the Scott, y'all hey here. Y'all hey.
My problem with this is I like all my games to be as uniform as possible, so with something like Bioshock Infinite, I gotta stick to the regular art, sadly, to keep that cursed Xbox 360 logo on the spine.
On the bright side, though, it's a nice way to know that, oh nice, I have OCD. But companies do change their box arts sometimes when it comes to stuff like steelbooks. Also, steelbooks I make a exception for the lacking of the box art stuff because it's a steelbook. But yeah, well, that's just a personal thing. Alright, I'm gonna shut up now. Game of the Year or re-releases. Just take a look at Doom 2016. The original PS4 and Xbox One release, technically also PC, but whatever, had a generic guy holding a gun cover. And then when it was released on the Switch, it was given a more appropriate box art that represents, Doom! Anyways, I've rambled on for 14 minutes now, and some of you may not even care about box arts and just think that they serve no real value, and that I rambled on for a full 14 minutes because you're one of those people who buy their games digitally. But box arts, especially video game box arts, I mean, actually, you know what? This counts for any box art. Movies, books, box arts, anything that has a box art. Not only is it something that could have a beautiful piece of artwork on the cover, but it's also what makes you want to buy the game, the movie, the whatever. It's the thing that catches your eye while you're browsing the multitude of games in a GameStop or at your local retro store or wherever the hell you buy your games from a shady dealer. I don't care. It's the point is though, box arts are important and they serve a purpose. And I feel that right now, and this kind of contradicts what I said at the beginning of the video, but box arts are kind of okay. The appreciation for good box art is kind of making a comeback with indie titles and just the internet and Twitter and then people being able to tweet out their opinions. It's just kind of nice to see that, especially from someone who has a eye for drawings and details and artwork and all that, but also just to see a nice change from all the boring. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe if you wanna. I'm not gonna force you to, of course. Bye! Oh. Oh, you thought that was the end of the video, huh? Well, I fooled you. There's one thing I did not mention throughout the entirety of this video. You want to know what really pisses me off about box arts? Region different box arts. Why do we have different box arts for different regions, huh? It makes no sense. Unless, the box art from Japan or whatever is just something America would deny. But, other than that, why? Some of the time it could be as simple as a different change in art, but then you got Final Fantasy. The box arts for Final Fantasy in Japan just... oh my god. so pretty. Like, yeah, okay, the US ones are nice too, but this, look at it, look at it! US Eco box art sucks. The PAL box art for Eco features nice, beautiful artwork with the view pulled way back, and the only distinction of the main characters is just these two tiny shadows. And then someone sneezed all over it, trying to wipe it up, messed it up, and then just sent it over to America. This looks so ugly. This doesn't make me think I'm gonna go on a meaningful adventure. This makes me think I'm gonna play a game where I play as a McDonald's Happy Meal toy. Why did we need to change the look of Sonic over here in the US? Like, yeah, USA Sonic box arts for the Genesis era are classic, but why did we make it so he has 3 spines? That looks so weird. Why? It's weird. Like this, the Japan version, is so much better than this sniveling, looking